Okay, here we go.
Okay, here we go. All right, welcome everybody to our 2 p.m. Thursday, September 28th public meeting. Would you please join me in the pledge?
Flag.
Missoula County acknowledges that this event takes place in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish Kalispel people. We have two public announcements.
Hello, everyone. If you're joining us for this meeting virtually today, instructions for turning on closed captioning are on your screen. If you're joining us in person, we will have closed captioning on all the screens here in the Sophie Muiz room. Please come to me if you have any questions. We ask that all speakers today please remember to speak slowly and clearly during the meeting. This helps with the accuracy of the closed captioning. There will be multiple chances to speak virtually today. During those times, if you would like to speak, we ask that you use the raise hand feature. If you're on Microsoft Teams, this is a small hand button. If you're calling in on the phone, you'll need to hit *5 to raise your hand. Then once called on, you'll need to hit *6 to unmute. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. We also have a proclamation.
Okay, here we go. Whereas Missoula County landowners and residents play a vital role in caring for our natural resources, and whereas there are exemplary land stewards throughout Missoula County engaging in voluntary projects and practices that protect and enhance our natural resources, and whereas Missoula County, through the Land Stewardship Award Program, wishes to recognize and thank those land stewards as well as promote their stewardship success stories so that others may learn from them. And whereas the Missoula County Open Lands Citizen Advisory Committee reviewed the nominations and made a recommendation for the 2023 Land Stewardship Award. Now, therefore, we, the Missoula Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim Kim Greninger as the recipient of the 2023 Missoula County Land Stewardship Award. We honor Kim Greninger's outstanding efforts in caring for the natural resources in Missoula County and for providing citizens with an opportunity to learn from their successes. Dated this day, 28th of September, 2023. Josh Slotnick, Juanita Vero, Dave Strohmeyer.
Thanks, Juan. And if I understand it right, we will be visiting on Monday. Yeah. Great. Thanks a lot. We're looking forward to it as well. It's a fun annual visit we get to do. Yeah. Okay, do we have any public comment on items not on the agenda? Anybody can speak about anything. Okay, our current claims list, claims received as of September 1, 2023 to September 19th, 2023 by the Commissioner's Office, total $5,070,976.21. We have 3 hearings today. The first one is a final resolution from the Missoula County on the Missoula County Health Code Regulation Revision. And Shannon will present.
Well, thank you very much. Can you hear this? Am I close enough? Okay, awesome. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to give a shortened presentation from what we have done before. But to let everybody know who might want to comment, we'll go through it in brief. So we are here today to talk about adopting the revised version of Regulation 3 of the City County Health Code, which is solid waste management. We had our first commissioner hearing on September 14th, so 2 weeks ago. And the subject is the changes that the Health Board approved after 2 public hearings and 2 comment periods on August 17th, 2023. So last time I talked in more detail about the changes to the regulations, but a lot of them are small editing or getting rid of some obsolete rules. But the big changes are focused on bears. The health board approved a larger bear buffer zone around Missoula. And so in this slide, the area that is crosshatched is the current bear buffer zone. It is not big enough to keep the bears out of garbage, and it basically is just limited to city limits. And so this is a bigger zone that will keep bears from becoming habituated or for seeking their behavior seeking food in garbage cans, and then they move on to seeking it in houses and sheds and other areas. So want to keep that from happening. The other thing to know is that in the revised bear buffer zone around Missoula, it will require bear-resistant containers. So on the bottom, you can see a bear-resistant container that have been knocked over by the bear. And in the video here, you can see a bear in the rattlesnake trying to get into a bear-resistant container. And then when that doesn't happen, you'll see the bear just sort of walk away. So bear-resistant containers really can keep bears out of our garbage. Thank you, Jamie, for providing that. That is a heck of a
That's
video.
quite a video, Jamie.
Yeah. Yep. So because the buffer zone is pretty big, and it will take time to get the bear-resistant containers here in Missoula. We've talked with both the garbage providers, and after doing that and talking with our experts, the recommendation or what the health board approved is 3 phases. So really, first of all, and that also helps us put things into place right away. So by April of 2024, Rattlesnake and Grant Creek, where we have a lot of bear activity, will have to comply with the bear regulations. Then it moves from the Rattlesnake to UM and the Patty Canyon area for the next year. And then the following year is the rest of that bear buffer zone. And also through public hearing, there were comments from Potomac residents and Fish, Wildlife, and Parks about the need to have a mitigation area and require bear-resistant containers in Potomac. So that is also part of it. These, now I'm going to turn it over to Jamie, who's going to just talk to us about what's been going on in the last couple of weeks.
Thank you for having me again. So as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, we had a very, very quiet summer compared to last year. Last year, we had a food failure, and it was absolutely insane. About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, though, we started to see a lot of bears pouring into the Missoula Basin and then the Potomac area for the apples and what's left of the chokecherry. And a lot of those bears, sadly, have displaced off onto garbage and then fruit trees. Right now, for example, in the Potomac area, in the Missoula area, we have 3 different black bear females, all with young. And one of those females is very food conditioned. She's been getting into garbage. One of the issues we now have are all the homeless camps. And there's lots and lots of garbage in those fringe areas along the urban interface where the homeless are trying to eke out a living, but also we have bears there now. And so we've had probably 5, 6 incidents just in the last week of bears getting into homeless camps. In the Potomac area, we did have black bears there pretty much all summer getting into garbage, and then grizzlies this spring. But again, about 2 weeks ago, more black bears started pouring into the Potomac Valley. I would guess we have 20 plus black bears right now getting into actual garbage in Potomac. And then besides this big male grizzly that just showed up the other day, we have, we think, 2, maybe 3 additional grizzlies in the Potomac area also, sadly, getting into garbage.
So there is definitely a need for us to do something to keep bears away from garbage. And so the ordinance, the resolution that would adopt the ordinance looks like this. The BCC would resolve that to adopt the Missoula City County Health Code Regulation 3 Solid Waste Management as approved by the Health Board on August 17th, 2023 by reference as a Missoula County ordinance. And this action would supersede and replace the adoption of Regulation 3 in resolution, or I'll just say in ordinance 2022-003, when the whole health code was adopted by reference. So it's just surgically changing that one regulation. The proposed motion is we recommend that you adopt an ordinance incorporating by reference the revised Missoula City County Health Code Regulation 3 Solid Waste Management as approved by the Health Board on August 17th, 2023. And I'll just say, John and I talked about it right before, so we're set in the proposed motion. And that's it.
All right, thank you. Would anybody like to speak to this online or in person?
Commissioners, I'm Bert Lindler from Grant Creek, and I'm here because I have spent the past couple of years spending time with Shannon and Jamie and others in the Missoula Bear Smart Working Group. But more importantly, for the past 15 years, I've been trying to encourage my neighbors to do the right thing in Grant Creek. And I've had some success, as Jamie could confirm, but I've also found that education alone, even when conducted at the lowest level where I've worked, isn't enough to help resolve the problems that we have in our community. So in Grant Creek, we're doing pretty good, but we're not doing good enough. And I guess my experience working with people over the past 70 some odd years is that it's really best when people are set up to do the right thing by default, not when they're set up to do the wrong thing by default, which is what we've been doing, basically just saying, well, don't put the garbage out before 5:30 in the morning and maybe it'll work out okay. In this case, if everybody has a bear-resistant container, the only thing that's left for them to screw up is not to latch it properly. Well, that'll happen some. But nonetheless, we will have set it up so that the default behavior is the desired behavior. And I think that's going to work ever so much better. Thank you.
Thanks, Bert. Anybody else like to speak in person or online? Chris, you've been waiting patiently. If you want to jump in, you're welcome to.
All right, thank you. I am online today because I had shoulder surgery 2 days ago, and
Oh,
so
good
I
luck, Chris.
slowed down. But I'm doing okay, and I'm here to speak in favor of this resolution. I'm a member of the Missoula Bear Smart Working Group. Along with Bert and many others, we worked really hard to try to come up with solutions to these problems. We live in bear habitat. We have a responsibility to do the right thing. And this is certainly the right thing to do. And we need to move forward with this and become a bear smart community and to make it compatible for people and bears to be better coexisting on the Missoula landscape. So thank you for considering this.
You bet. Thank you. Anybody else, you're welcome to speak. Oh, Blake, thanks for catching that. Blake.
Hi. Yep, Blake Nicolazzo. I live in Missoula. I started Missoula for Bears. I've worked with a lot of these faces, and I'm just, definitely speaking in support. And I just want to express a lot of gratitude towards you three for being open, and also Shannon. Your presentations are fabulous and super clear, and I really appreciate that. So it all seems really clear, and I think that we're moving in the right direction. And I'm just like in my head in the future of just and I don't want to get ahead of myself in congratulating Missoula, but we are going to be an example of a pretty swift turnaround. And if you look at some of the statistics around having bear-resistant containers, in the movie Bears of Durango, the researcher there says if you have 60% of people using bear-resistant trash containers, your problem will reduce so drastically that it's so worth it. So just echoing what Bert said and Chris has said and Jamie says every single day. So just huge support for this from my camp and a lot of thanks. And yeah, I hope this just passes through with flying colors.
Thanks, Blake. Anybody else?
Jenny, you've been at this a long time.
I have, but I don't qualify as the general public.
I don't know which
You
hat
do
you're
live
wearing.
in the middle rattlesnake, right?
I do live in the Middle Rattlesnake, and I will say that before I ever worked for the city, probably 20 years ago, we were starting to have meetings with Aaron Edge from Defenders in the neighborhood and trying to do something. So it's personally very rewarding to me to see that our elected bodies are so enthusiastic about this. You don't really often see the Missoula City Council wanting to adopt a resolution. Just absolutely, they were just over the moon about how important it is and how much they support it. And of course, they will be hearing these regulations on Monday night at the final public hearing. But I would say I can't speak for them, but it's nice to see that they are so amenable. It's great, and thank you.
They're going to be crushed under the massive influence of me and Juan today. And
Well,
Dave's lurking presence.
That can happen, yes.
I think they're shaking now. Anybody else?
Well, let's see that correct language. That okay. Okay, well, I move to adopt an ordinance incorporating by reference the revised Missoula City County Health Code Regulation 3 Solid Waste Management as approved by the Health Board on August 17th, 2023.
I'll second that. And any public comment? Anybody else want to speak to this? I do want to say one little thing, just I can't help myself, just to express a huge, massive, immeasurable debt of gratitude to folks like Bert and Jamie and Shannon and Chris and others who I should name, but their names aren't on the tip of my tongue, who have been part of this Bear Smart group, Bear Aware group, the folks who've been working on this bear garbage issue, not just in the last year, but really for a really long time. And we wouldn't be here without that level of activism, and we're very, very gracious and grateful for your work. So with that,
We can do things quickly. Imagine that.
Look at that. We'll call for a vote.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. The ayes have it.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, next up, Jackson Lee is going to talk about the New Meadows Trail Bond.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Before you is a consideration of Trails Bond expenditure for construction of the New Meadows Trail System at Missoula County's New Meadows Park. And this project has been many years in the making now, and I'll go through and give project timeline and budget and background on New Meadows Park master planning process as well. But first, I'll start here with the site location of New Meadows Park. New Meadows Park is in the Grass Valley area. It's located off of Mullen Road, adjacent to the shared use pathway out there, and pretty close to the intersection with Cody Lane. It also ties or is adjacent to the Mullen Build area, which is seeing rapid growth in this area of Missoula County. And also on this map, of note is other recreation sites and public parks nearby. In the northwest corner of the map is the parcel we're referring to, which is overlaid there in purple. So why trail construction at New Meadows Park? The first is we have a long history of planning that's been centered around this park parcel. It's an 8-acre park parcel that is adjacent to the New Meadows subdivision and also close to Elmar subdivision as well. And then also of note is that Mullen Build connection that I mentioned earlier. And the planning process, or planning documents that reference the importance of a park within this area date back to 2004, with a need for a community park outlined in the city and county joint master park and recreation plan. That was then expanded upon in 2012 with Missoula County Parks and Trails Master Plan, which recommended a reclassification of this park from a neighborhood park to a community park. And then in 2018, in response to that 2012 identified need, Parks, Trails, and Open Lands staff worked with the community in this area on a comprehensive New Meadows Park master plan. And the two highest scoring community priorities out of that planning process were low impact development and the development of a walking loop trail. When we looked at the map a few moments ago, one thing of note is those public park spaces that are developed are over 2 miles away from this site. And so at this time, we're seeing a real need within this park and within the surrounding neighborhoods to have a space for recreation, whether that's just off of work hours, bringing kids to the park, or whatever it may be. And we're also seeing that this site has great connectivity and in close proximity to those existing neighborhood trail systems with the Cody Lane and Mullen Road shared use paths. So this is the site plan that came out of that 2018 master park planning process. And you can see prominent within this plan is development of a perimeter trail as well as a connector trail from Mullen Road to New Meadows Drive. The goals of the New Meadows Trail System project, these were identified within the community planning process in 2018 and then further expanded upon when we first sought recreational trails program funding for this project. So the first being is to provide welcome access. Right now there's a network of social trails out at New Meadows Park, and the real priority with trail construction out at New Meadows is to take these social trails and bring them into compliance with accessibility and national trail standards. And we also want to respond to the community need, noting that the highest ranking recreational values are addressed through trail construction at New Meadows Park, improving safety and maintenance, transitioning the social trail to a sanctioned trail network, and then we'll also be able to have a better presence with our maintenance staff and the ability to maintain the trail system out at New Meadows Park. And then I think a really key point of what we've seen with this project in particular is to leverage community partnerships. We've been able to engage with the Missoula College's heavy machinery program, who are interested in doing the construction phase of this project, and also some independent living staff who have provided accessibility consultation. And then as part of the recreational trails program award process, we went through substantive environmental assessment of the site, which include consultation with the Audubon Society as well as the Department of Ecology. Once we received funding, and I'll note this better within the timeline, but the gist is back in 2019, after the planning process at New Meadows was complete, P2L program staff applied for the recreational trails program administered through FWP. And we were unsuccessful in our 2019 application, but we revamped that application and reapplied in 2022, and were successful that time around. Once we received a funding award, we really focused in on developing a 100% design set for the New Meadows Trail System that is based off of that concept plan out of the master planning process, but really transitions that concept plan to something that's reflective of those 4 goals that I mentioned on the past slide. As far as project budget, timeline, and specifications, we anticipate trail construction being split into 2 phases, with work getting underway this fall. and then finishing up spring, early summer of 2024. The 100% trail design by DJNA is consistent with the trail layout that was outlined during the 2018 planning process that was then adopted by the Board of County Commissioners. The perimeter trail will be 6 feet wide, and the connector trail from Mullen Road to New Meadows Drive will be 8 feet wide. The total new trail proposed is just over a half mile, and all trails proposed will be constructed with 3/4 minus gravel, and that came through consultation with DJNA as well as Summit Independent Living staff. The Trails Bond request before you accounts for 1/3 of the total project budget, with the remaining 2/3 being sourced from that 2022 Recreational Trails Program award. And this budget spread is consistent with the intent of the Trails Bond, 2014 Trails Bond, which is to have that Trails Bond act as local match for larger state and federal funding programs. Just an overview of the project timeline and how this Trails Bond request fits within it. So as I mentioned, this planning process really started in earnest back in 2018, as it referenced those 2004 and 2012 planning efforts done by the city, county, and then the county solely in 2012. And as a result of the 2018 planning process and a better understanding of community needs within the New Meadows area, P2L staff really keyed in on prioritizing new trail construction at the site. So level 2 Trails Bond application was submitted in the fall of 2018, and this was reviewed by the Parks and Trails Advisory Board, who provided a letter of recommendation in the winter of 2019 to the BCC, and then that led to a qualifying resolution for Trails Bond expenditure being approved by the BCC at that time. We then applied for RTP funding in 2019. We were unsuccessful, and then we revamped that in early 2022, which led to an award of $62,111 from the RTP funding towards design and construction of trail system at New Meadows Park. Back in August of 2022, the BCC approved a contract with Fish, Wildlife, and Parks for implementation of this RTP award. And then that led staff to begin with the design phase of the project January through July of this year in consultation with DJNA. From August until this month, we've been working on securing a contract with Missoula College for construction of the trail. We provided notice of these upcoming trail activities to neighbors, put a legal ad for 2 weeks in the Missoulian, and now we're here today requesting final approval from the BCC for expenditure of 2014 Trails Bond funding.
Hey, Jackson,
Yeah.
what did we do differently between the two awards? When we used to talk about the revamping, what was different?
Yeah, so we spent some time on the narrative and demonstrating the tie between this project and the Mullen Build project was one piece. And then we also spent some more time on developing partnerships for implementation of the project, including that consultation with Summit Independent Living.
Oh, great. Okay. And then I was just wondering, 6 feet, like that's enough for 2 wheelchairs to pass or 2 strollers or?
Yeah, so
Like-
the 6 foot width is to the outdoor accessibility standards by the U.S. Access Board. So they do allow for passing of either pedestrians or wheelchairs, and we'll also have resting spaces along the trail too.
Great, thanks.
Yeah. So the action request today is for approval of this expenditure in the amount of $31,562, which would go towards design and construction services associated with the New Meadows Trail System project at Missoula County's New Meadows Park.
Great, thanks. Does anybody out there want to speak to this or have anything they'd like to say?
Okay, I move that the board approve expenditure of up to $31,562 of 2014 County Parks and Trails bond funds for design and construction services associated with the New Meadows Trail System project at Missoula County's New Meadows Park.
Could we just shorthand this resolution to more really good work by Jackson?
Yes, yes.
Just call it that, right?
Thanks, Jackson.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yet another really good piece of work.
Sorry it took 20
Thank-
years.
Yeah,
Thank you, commissioners.
bet. All
We-
right,
Do we vote?
do we all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just to be
There we
sure.
go. Okay, thank you. All right, our last hearing is from Karen Hughes, an amendment to the land use fee schedule.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm here with a proposal to increase the land use fees just for the subdivision exemption applications from $200 to $400. I guess I should say I'm with Planning Development and Sustainability. You may remember last year we did a fee update and we across the board increased our fees to reflect kind of a 50% recuperation rate. And the last time we had redone our fees was about a decade ago. The only fee that we didn't update was the fee related to subdivision exemption applications, and that's because that fee is set in statute. And it was set in 2003 at $200, and it hasn't been updated until this last legislative session when they allowed local governments to charge $400 for each subdivision application. So it's been 20 years since that authorization was put in place. And this proposal essentially allows us to go forward with that. It was the legislation was in House Bill 874, I think, and it just simply allows us to help cover the costs of the review for those subdivision exemption applications. And those are applications that deal with the divisions of land, like family transfers and boundary line relocations, creation of cemetery lots, court ordered divisions, those that are not subject to full subdivision review. Missoula County staff review these exemption applications to determine that there isn't an evasion of subdivision review. We receive about 15 to 20 of these applications a year. And like I said, until recently, we were limited to what we could charge. And we are still limited, but because it's set in statute, but we can now charge $400. If we don't raise our fees, essentially we pass those costs on to taxpayers instead of charging the applicants. So that's part of the reason for this request. And I think I have for you with your packet a draft resolution that we're hoping that you will approve and adopt today. And when you're ready, I can put up a motion if you need it.
Hey, Karen, I may have missed this, but
And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
oh, sorry. How much does it, what's the real cost of doing a subdivision review exemption? So we're probably not near 50%, but what's the real cost?
I don't.
Oh, on the edge of my seat. Oh, Cheryl, you warned us about this.
Did Cheryl warn us about this?
She said it better be a fast meeting because they were having issues.
Like, closing everything for repairs or something?
Old building.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you taking the time to nominate.
They'll see you Monday.
See you Monday.
Well, if there's a shutdown, then I can be here. Oh. Dylan for a BLM Resource Advisory.
So,
Yeah, then they can't have the meeting. They have.
Karen, can you hear me?
We can't hear Karen.
I can hear you now. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
yes, perfect. You cut out just, we were on the edge of our seats. So exciting.
Yeah, it's not exciting. We've never done a time study because we weren't allowed to
Oh,
to charge anything other than what the state allows us to charge.
and I guess some of these are different. A cemetery lot and a family transfer can be really complicated, or it can be not a big deal. But is there a way just to describe can we answer Juan's question in more general terms about describing the sort of staff response to these types of requests?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of questions asked about them in terms of the general work that's done on subdivision exemption applications. There's a number of kind of back and forth, either with applicants or with developers representatives to answer questions. We receive an application, we check to make sure it's complete. That may require some back and forth to make sure that they have adequate information provided. We go through an evasion review that includes a report determining, with the review of the rebuttable presumptions, and each exemption has a different set of criteria that we review it against. And then there's a decision letter and notice to the applicant. For family transfers, there's an additional the applicant attends a public meeting and testifies before the commissioners regarding exemptions as well.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the
Yeah.
history. I think, well, I hope this is the correct language that I have in front of me, but
We need to take public comment.
oh,
Probably
thank
first.
you, thank you, thank you. Sorry.
Anybody want to speak to this? All right, go on.
I move that the board adopt a resolution to amend the land use fee schedule for subdivision exemption application fees. Oops. I move that the resolution to amend the land use fee schedule to increase subdivision exemption application fees from $200 to $400 be adopted.
All right, one more time, any public comment? I'll second this, and my only little comment on this, I appreciate that we're going to recover some of these costs rather than putting them on the backs of taxpayers who are overburdened right now. And thanks for doing this. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks, Karen. Okay, unless we have any other business, I guess we're done. Bye-bye.